Now, there's some people that don't experience much in the way of withdrawal at all, either acute or post-acute protracted withdrawal. Those people are probably not here watching this video. If you're watching this video, it's probably because you've struggled with or are actively struggling with some or many aspects of benzo withdrawal. A really complicated but important question is when to take action. When to stop being passive or entirely passive about benzo withdrawal. When to stop just waiting it out. It's often said that time is the best medicine, and I do agree with that in the grand scheme of things, if you had to rank everything. But there comes a point where you can feel like you're in a rut. You've plateaued. You're not making forward progress. And it might be the moment to try and do something to shake things up in a good way. At any stage of your withdrawal, there are a few things you can do, a few actions you can take that have absolutely no downside. They are a net positive through and through, 100%. Eating healthier. If you're someone that has high anxiety, if you're eating meals that are higher in protein, more nutrient dense, that are limiting sugar and other stimulating, whether it's caffeine or alcohol, things that are not going to stimulate your nervous system, if you're limiting these foods, there's no downside to that. There are other actions you can take, things you can do, that are generally positive for most people, but they might not work for everyone, or they might not work for you with where you are at in your healing journey. I'll give you an example. For me personally, a lot of people talk about meditation and mindfulness as being something that's just generally really positive for mental health. And I'm not going to be the one to disagree with that. When I first tried it, it was at a point in my healing journey where it backfired. It didn't actually help. It actually made things a lot worse. And it instigated an episode of depersonalization and derealization that was absolutely terrifying. Now, I'd already been dealing with depersonalization and derealization, so I'm not saying that trying to meditate is what brought out DPDR. But I was not actively having an episode of DPDR when I tried to meditate, and then all of a sudden I found myself in the thick of it. This doesn't even mean that meditation is going to be a negative thing for me to do for the rest of my life. It just might be at that particular point in my healing journey. Admittedly, it was a very jarring experience, and I haven't genuinely, sincerely tried to meditate again since then. People that have experienced DPDR, you know what a traumatic and intense experience it is. The moment in that particular instance when I was sitting down and I'm trying to observe my thoughts and I'm trying to step back, and that's already something that if you're vulnerable to DPDR, you can understand how this could be problematic. But it was just like a lightning bolt coming down and just splitting every atom of my identity and my actual physical self, just tearing them to pieces. So I was no longer tethered, connected to myself. I'm not going to go down a DPDR rabbit hole here, but you understand what I'm saying. Now, this is not me trying to stoke fear or trying to discourage you from trying meditating. I was able to get back on track after that episode. It was not like it sent me down a permanent death spiral of DPDR that I'm still dealing with today. You try something, and you'll see very often, very quickly, if it's working for you or not. If it's not working, stop. There are lots of other things you can try. The risk, what I will say is that the risk of inaction at a certain point, the risk of not doing something, starts to outweigh the risk of just sitting and waiting. And there comes a point where there's a wall up in front of you, and a lot of times it's like a false wall. It's just like the thinnest, flimsiest piece of drywall that the slightest little punch will take it down. But while it's sitting there in front of you, it looks like a wall that's not coming down. And sometimes you really just have to, in a previous video about dealing with work in Benzo withdrawal, for people that are not able to get time off, who are really stuck in a work situation, one of the segments was called Fake It Till You Make It. And in my personal case, I had to run a trip with tourists that I did not think I was going to be able to do, but I couldn't really get out of it. And it turned out that running the trip was one of the best things I could have done. I think it really set me on a better path in terms of my healing journey. It helped me enormously. And paradoxically, it seems like the riskiest thing in the world sometimes to take that action. And the paradox is that taking the action is what provides the breakthrough. Now, knowing when to take the action and what action to take, this is the tricky part. This is the scary part. You know, for many of us, it feels like we're walking on a tightrope with this thing. We have very little margin for error. You know, I remember this rumor when I was growing up, when we were kids. They would say that if you put a penny on a railroad track, it would derail the train. Thankfully, that's not true, because otherwise there'd be trains derailed all over the place. It's kind of an awful thing when you think about it. You're a kid and you're casually dropping a penny on the railroad track thinking it might derail a train. But for us that are going through Benzo withdrawal, it often feels like something that small, a tiny little thing, a tiny little change in the wrong direction can provoke something catastrophic. And obviously it makes sense. You want to do everything you can to avoid that. But at a certain point, you need to try. You need to try to force one foot in front of the other, in a certain direction. And you need to jump in with both feet. You need to believe it. You need to try, and you need to believe it with every ounce of your being. And it can be something as simple as going outside of the house and standing in the grass barefoot for a little while, or doing a little walk around in the grass barefoot, or in the sand, whatever little patch of nature you can get out into. This is something I would consider a very low risk, low possible downside action that you can take. That might move the needle in the right direction, and that might surprise you, because it could be at the moment you think you can't get out of the house, you can't get out of your bed. Think about a really small, sort of bite-sized action that you can take. That even if it doesn't work out, you can still go back in the house. There's no inevitability. If something goes wrong, It's not like it's going wrong forever. It's not like you don't have an opportunity to get out of that situation. Try it. You need to take a chance on something. You can tell yourself whatever you want. Other people can tell you what they think is happening to you. But you have to test the waters at some point yourself. I know this is easier said than done. You know, me sitting here talking, I'm more than 2 years out. I've healed to, I don't know what percentage, but it's, I would say, over 90%. And I'm still dealing with things that are affecting my life, but they're not debilitating, not affecting my day-to-day functioning. But I was also in the same situation. And sometimes taking one of these small steps, which it feels like a leap at the time, provided what I would call exponential progress. Unexpected exponential progress. That I did not really want to embrace. I did not want to take the risk in doing it. It's just like this every day. I wake up early and I never want to actually get out of bed. This is a very relatable very relatable experience for many people. There's some people that fly out of bed in the morning, but many of us don't want to get up. And even if I make it out of bed, I tell myself, oh, I don't need to go for that walk down on the beach. I'll do it tomorrow. You know, I do it every day. I don't need to do it today. But then once I'm there, once I'm doing it, my whole day is so much better for it. And at the end of the day, I, and all of us, especially dealing with benzo withdrawal, have to come to terms with the fact that we are going to have, to some extent, everyone has a daily struggle. Ours might just be a bit more elaborate, so that even when we heal, we still need to be. My SD card just ran out, and I've just had to delete something to be able to continue the video. Maybe that is a sign from the universe that I've been rambling on for too long about this. Take a step, take a chance, try something. If you need ideas for things to try, let me know. Put a message in the comments or send me an email at lifeafterbenzos@gmail.com. I'd be happy to talk to you. And I'm not even talking about a formal coaching thing, just emailing back and forth. Okay, I hope you guys are all okay, and wishing you a very good weekend.